What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Afternoon Brew here on Coffee and Crypto. I am super excited for this video because we are going to be discussing two different topics, and we'll see which one we talk about a little bit more. First of all, sentiment in the space. Obviously, this is the biggest thing that people are looking at right now because it probably has the biggest impact on when Bitcoin and other altcoins are going to be finally bottoming out and heading back to the upside. So I'm excited to talk about that. And as well as that, we're going to be talking about altcoins that maybe you've never heard of, but maybe you should start paying attention to. I am joined by a very good friend of mine, Dan from Crypto Capital Venture, and I'm super excited to have him on. So, Dan, how are you doing this afternoon? And after that, we're going to just go ahead and jump on into this.
Doing awesome, Tim. I appreciate you having me. I love being here with you guys. I really do. And especially in a bear market, something special about it being here. Thanks for having me.
It's always fun, man. We got to do more because every time it's what's even crazier is, and we're gonna jump into content here because these are only supposed to be about 20 minutes so people can get all the content. But if people could watch our behind the scenes conversations, like our pre-conversation to the show and then our post conversation, we'll have to what we'll start doing is we'll start recording the whole thing, and then if we want to release parts of it later, we can release parts of it later. And that's just thought.
We should do that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and jump on in. We're gonna start with sentiment. And then we're going to move into altcoins that maybe people haven't heard of. But let's just kind of talk about the space as a whole. What are your thoughts? I know people get to hear my voice daily about what I think is happening in the sentiment, but maybe they haven't heard yours. Give us a quick rundown on what you're kind of processing right now about the crypto market, and then we'll kind of explore with some questions here in just a second.
Yeah, first off, I'm just kind of in probably the same mindset and boat as most of the crypto people out there. Anybody watching right now, it's just like, man, this is lame. Like, let's have some fun again. I very much like just hitting all-time highs. I very much like parabolic environments of crypto, but I always have to like snap myself out of it because like that's the emotional side of myself talking, right? I know to enjoy those times, I have to just like hunker down, focus on my plan every day in terms of accumulating, because this is it, everybody. Like this is where opportunity is. And I was here on YouTube doing videos in 2018 bear market low, saying the same thing, and it played out really well. And I think that's going to happen again. So sentiment's crazy. It's like what, 20, I think, on the index, fear and greed index right now. And you just have to, we should get excited, and engagement is low. I'm sure you're going to probably bring that up, but this is when engagement should be at its like all-time high.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that here in just a second because it's crazy. All of us, no matter who we are, whether we're viewers or whether we're influencers and making content, we're all in the same market, and it might just hit us a little different. For me, I actually came in at the tail end of the bear market on the last one, and got spoiled a little bit. When my first crypto investment, it was actually a pretty golden opportunity, and so this is really my first bear market, waiting it out. From somebody like you who's been in one before, and you had to wrestle those emotions. That concept of that knowing, hey, there will be brighter days. There will be the green candles that take us up and to the right. Those are coming. We just don't know if they're happening tomorrow or a month from now or 10 months from now or 2 years from now or 4 years. What do you do, Dan, as not only a crypto investor, but also an influencer, to really corral those feelings in your gut to FOMO in at wrong places or flood out at the wrong places? How have you kind of learned to adjust yourself to this sentiment we're in currently right now?
I go for a drive. I go outside. I get some sun. I step into the world of my recruiting business for a little bit. I really distract myself because like there's a big thing I learned in 2018 was don't just sit there staring and waiting. Like, don't do that. It's mentally unhealthy, and you're just wasting time when you could be doing other things. So it's like, know your plan, but then do other things, build other things, focus on other things. Part of it for me is I create content. So engagement is not fun right now. Views are down, all that stuff. But like, it's a personal thing for me. I've committed to creating content and tracking my crypto journey. So I'm on top of that game, get it done, and then move on to the next thing. Because the thing for me is, I don't know how long this crypto winter is going to last. Especially we're watching everything play out with equity markets and just interest rates and new Fed news every week. It's like, how long is this going to go on for? This wasn't an environment we were in 2018. And that one lasted, like that bottom kind of lasted well over 100 days. And then the 2015 bear market low, that lasted like 300 days, right? And this one, we're like just scratching the surface here. Like we just got here. So it's going to be a little bit of time, I think. And it's going to be very volatile. So it's kind of like, do other things, build yourself up in other areas of your life, of your business, of your mind. Don't just stare at the markets. Don't just, stare at the charts. That's my thing.
That's good. And it's funny. Every single person I talk to has a different opinion. Like what you just said right there. It's like, oh, we're still in the crypto winter. Well, if you watch this morning show, Coffee and Crypto Live, we were talking with Mark Yusko, who he's like, no, winter is over. We're in spring. The problem with spring is sometimes you still have cold fronts, and sometimes you still have that rain, that mud, and it gets ugly. And it doesn't mean just because we're not in winter that we can't set a new low. It just means that, I think he was really getting at, the sentiment, that really bearish nature. And we were talking about this beforehand. So this was one of the things I was like, man, these things pre-recorded, and people can get sound bites of us just conversing just as people. What are your thoughts about the sentiment as a whole affecting maybe like the people coming into this space? So like right now, I told you guys, like we're in the same bear market everybody else is, but we're watching things as influencers. We're watching the Google trends and we're watching the interest rates. And we've watched as, even some of our faithful who we know love us, they have other things to work on. Crypto's kind of boring right now. The views go down. The subscribers, they lay off. They say, okay, I'll come back when it's more interesting. What are your thoughts about that? Have we bottomed out when it comes to viewer sentiment and interest sentiment, people looking up stuff about Bitcoin and other cryptos, or do you think we still have a little bit lower to go there?
Yeah, and we were just talking about that, and I think it's so hard to tell. I always take myself back to 2018, and it's just like, I just remember it being like this can't get any worse in terms of engagement. And it was low then.
Yeah.
And it just kind of kept getting worse. But I think when it really started turning around was probably in December 2018. And that was when we had that capitulation, like that final last blow, like that I don't think many people were expecting. And I know history doesn't repeat itself, but it's just, that's a situation I could see happening again. And when that happens, I think we could start getting the return of better engagement, because then it just becomes like, I think right now the opportunity in crypto it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable at these prices. But then I think it's going to attract people. Finally, the people that are just like on the sidelines, I think they're going to be like, okay, they might start seeing it. And then when that happens, I think they'll start entering and the views will start coming. And then boom, you get that first 50% pump, whenever that is, right? And then the engagement starts kind of exploding again.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I think you're right. I think we're probably a ways away from engagement and sentiment in terms of engagement rising. But the thing we were talking about beforehand, my opinion on it is I actually think, I almost think we've hit the ground bottom, not necessarily in prices, but in interest. Because let's just think about it right now. I mean, good litmus test. You guys are watching right now. Most of you are probably sitting in the red. Most of you probably are not profitable right now in crypto, and yet you're still watching this content. I think you're a fanatic. You're passionate. You don't care whether the price stays where it currently is, or if Bitcoin drops to 15 or 11,000 and Cardano drops down to 20 cents and then Ethereum drops back down 1,000. Even if that happened, I feel like you're still going to watch. I don't think that anyone watching right now, there's really anything else that can happen to make you want to stop watching. I think there might be a sideways. We've hit the bottom in terms of engagement, and then it's just going to drag along the bottom before we start to rise again. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Again, this was my first time to get to really feel the pain. Like I said, I came in last time, I think, if you're talking about engagement of crypto, I think I came in when it was still on the bottom and about to go. So I have no idea how to gauge when you finally hit the bottom just yet and how long that drag is. But just interesting. Yeah. I love getting to hear Dan's take on that. We're in transition, though. No, the title of this is, what are the altcoins that are worth your attention? And I want to clarify. Dan and I talked about this before we went live. We don't want anyone walking away from this saying, well, Dan and Tim said that you should go invest. No, that's not the point of this little interview. The point is, hey, there are probably some projects out there that you've never heard of, or maybe you've heard the name but don't know much about, that don't necessarily go invest in them just yet, but start paying attention to them because they could be profitable in the future. They could be interesting in the future. And Dan, I wanted to get your take because everybody knows you as the Cardano guy. I can't think of a single person when I think Cardano and YouTube. I can't think of a single person I would put over you. But you're not just a Cardano guy. You know about Bitcoin and you're doing deeper dives into altcoins. So I wanted to get you on here and let everybody know what are some other altcoins that we shouldn't just run to invest in, but we should start learning about.
Yeah, and that's the key. What you just said there. There's hundreds of altcoins, right? That I think will probably do really well in the next bull market. But like, now is the time to start learning about them. Now is the time to start. If you have that risk appetite, like in a certain portion of your portfolio, now is the time to start looking at these things, because whether we've bottomed or maybe there's one more leg down, the altcoins that are outperforming on the way down, meaning they're seeing way more losses than Bitcoin. If they're bottoming, they're going to, when the markets start seeing upside again, going into a bull market, and this isn't fact, but this is what the data says, they're going to outperform Bitcoin. So now is the time to get into altcoins if you have that allocated risk appetite, right? So for me, and this is something I've recently been doing, I haven't been rushing to it because I think we're in this bear market formation. I think we're going to be here for a little bit more time. I'm not in a rush to like FOMO into altcoins, but I've been doing my own due diligence. A recent one that kind of, it was on my radar before. I did a video on Ergo Dex, which is connected to Ergo. I did a video on that like maybe a year ago. So I'm familiar with the project and everything, but a lot of people in the Cardano community actually are, and that's all over my Twitter. A lot of them are interested in Ergo. So Ergo is an altcoin that I took interest in, and it's kind of two reasons. Number one, I like altcoins that are just like lower market cap, but not like crazy low. So this one's sitting at like 250 in market cap, around 100 million, I think, in market cap. So a ton of upside. But what's intriguing about it at this part of the crypto cycle is you have everything happening with the Ethereum merge, right? Ethereum moving to proof of stake. And there's this case, and the data is starting to show this, that a lot of the miners that have been mining Ethereum, they want to put their mining equipment to good use. And Ergo is a blockchain that is drawing a lot of attention right now. They're part of the EUTXO alliance, Cardano, Nervos blockchain, which kind of EUTXO is, it takes the best of both worlds, between Bitcoin's UTXO, and it allows an environment where there can be smart contracts and, there can be different types of development on it. So kind of making moves in terms of the tech too. So I think there's a lot of really good moving parts in this bear market that make Ergo a really good play. And I own Ergo. I just want to be clear about that. I recently got into it just because of some of these things. So that's one of them, I guess. I don't know. Are you familiar with Ergo, Tim?
No, I know. My next question was going to be, what is the, I've been doing a lot of research myself, not necessarily on specific altcoins, but I'm trying to put together like, hey, how can we help people understand the different aspects of what would make a coin kind of good to look at. And one of the things obviously would be, what is its use case? What is it being purposed for? Community is another one. And so when I hear you say, hey, with the ETH 2.0 merge coming out and moving to proof of stake, miners want to go somewhere. And so Ergo's getting a lot of attention. I don't know anything about the fundamentals of Ergo yet. I want to know those things, but right there, community popped up, bang. Why is Dogecoin doing so well? Shiba Inu doing so well? A lot of coins, let's just start even talking about Cardano, because I think the fundamentals are coming, but why did Cardano explode so quickly when it went up above $3? It's community-based. So community is a massive factor in the potential price action of a coin. And when we're seeing attention and community grow in Ergo, that's fascinating. But my question, fundamentally, what does Ergo seek to achieve? Is it a store of value? Does it have a similar project style that it wants to compete with the likes of like Ethereum and Cardano and Solana and those? What does it do?
I mean, I would say from like a technical level, I don't know a ton about it, but I just know that if you're going to take Bitcoin, for instance, and now say, okay, let's bring in smart contracts and everything like Cardano is doing, right? So it's basically like a proof of work blockchain with smart contracts, right?
Okay.
What can be done there? So that's kind of a powerful piece of what it's doing. And, you alluded to community, and as I tweeted about Ergo or something, the community does. It seems really cool. And that's something I look out for. Like when I'm talking about or looking into cryptos, is like, what's the vibes like in the community? And is the community scalable? And the number one thing I look for a scalable community is just like a positive sentiment. You know how there's some crypto communities that are just like, you look at it online, the community, I'm not going to single any out, but it's just like, oh, I'm going to stay away from that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Ergo seems to have a really cool community.
Huh. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Well, so that's one. It's definitely going to pop up on my radar now. And again, I want to remind people, just in case you just joined, this is not sponsored by Ergo. This video is not sponsored by Ergo. We are not recommending you run to your local exchange and purchase some right now. We are recommending you dig deeper into what you want to invest in the future. What are some other projects that you're interested in, Dan?
Yeah. So another one recently brought to my attention was Woo Network.
Yeah, that's another one I've heard of, but I don't know really that much about.
Okay. So again, they're in the 150 range on market cap. A lot of upside, I would say, just because when you start reading about them, you see a lot of comparison to Binance, right? So we're going to be like this next Binance, a really big exchange is what they're aiming to be. They have zero free trading, which is obviously huge in terms of like inviting retail. I think they have a platform for institutional investors. And what I recently found out, which was interesting because of all the talk about like Binance, Binance, Woo's going to be the next Binance. Binance actually invested in Woo. So the investment arm of Binance invested like over 10 million into the platform or something. They've raised a lot of money. So just another like lower cap, I guess. This is what I like. Lower cap with a solid project that I could just see growing. Again, they have a very excited community. Like I could just see that growing, right? So I like blue chip altcoins as like a big part of my portfolio. But then when you start introducing these smaller ones, I just feel like it adds a nice balance in terms of like potential gains, but it's still like even still pretty lower risk, right? You start getting into like the 500 plus on market cap, then you're starting to enter a different category. However, that was like a perfect segue. I didn't plan it. That leads me into this other altcoin, which is a project on Cardano. It's Cornucopias. And the thing about Cardano is like those high risk plays that I just was talking about, they're definitely 500 plus on market cap. And there are all these new native tokens like that are on Cardano. They're so early stage. And I just did a video on this last night. Cornucopias is one of them. It's like they're risky, but it's kind of this world where I feel like we're able to invest in these projects as if we look back in time and we invested in early stage Ethereum altcoins that like exploded. And so there's absolutely risk there, but you're talking 100x, 200x, 300x plays that I think are there, especially in a world if Cardano does do what I think it's going to do, $500 billion market cap, maybe even next cycle, right? Something like that. The upside for some of these brand new altcoins is huge. Cornucopias is a game building on Cardano in Unreal Engine 5, which is kind of ahead of the game in terms of what they're doing. And the team is amazing. So I really like Copy as well. So I own all three of those altcoins. I own, by the way. So I want to be very clear about that. Yeah.
And I think that's interesting. Yeah. There was when we went back to, let's see, which conference was it? I think this was Bitcoin Miami. So Bitcoin 2022 down in Miami earlier this year. Jordan Peterson was there, and Jordan Peterson got on stage, and every other speaker at the conference was a super positive person. Bitcoin is unstoppable. Bitcoin's the greatest. Bitcoin's great. And to be fair, I do think Bitcoin is unstoppable in certain realms, and I do think Bitcoin is great. But you left every single session thinking, man, I need to go buy more Bitcoin because it's about to skyrocket because of what that guy just said. Jordan Peterson was the one guy I saw kind of have a very very modest approach to it, kind of saying, I love Bitcoin. I think it's interesting. I think that there's still going to be problems in the future. I think that if anyone thinks moving from centralized systems to decentralized systems won't come with any frustrations, you're kidding yourself. But he told his story of how he got into Bitcoin, and it wasn't because he fell in love with it. It actually was because he's like, until I actually put skin in the game, I won't have enough passion to even care about learning it. I actually have to kind of expose myself to it to actually then care about learning more. So not that, again, that's not a recommendation of saying that, hey guys, you need to go buy this because Dan went and bought it. But at the same time, there are going to be levels of understanding and passion that Dan has for these projects that no one else will unless they purchase them and get some skin in the game. So I think that's actually really interesting that you clarified that. And again, not that you're trying to give anyone financial advice. You're just saying, hey, I bought some and I'm learning more about it. And the truth is, if what Jordan Peterson was saying in that conference was correct, you're going to learn at a greater level than everybody else because you actually have skin in the game and you care.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, cornucopias, they're early stage. And like, especially just these lower cap coins, if I own something, I think I want to try and be clear about that. Like, I have a big platform on YouTube, and so I want to be clear about those things. I also want to be clear it's not financial advice. Like, this is just, I'm just kind of taking shots here too, just like all of you. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here trying to prepare for that next bull run. I know the last bull run changed a lot of lives, including mine. And I'm trying to get a repeat. You know what I'm saying? But along that journey, tracking these things, I just want to be as transparent as possible. But I think those three will do well. I mean, time will tell. I guess we can look back on this video in 2025 when we're hitting all-time highs again.
Yeah, well, that is all we have time for today because, again, we're keeping these ones short. But, Dan, I'm going to get you on again really soon. Always love having you here on Coffee and Crypto. You guys can go follow Dan right now. There's a link in the description with his YouTube channel, Crypto Capital Venture. Go click on it. Follow him today for more content just like this. Subscribe to this channel for content just like this, where we get guys like Dan and others to come on and give you amazing opinions to help you guys go out and accomplish financial sovereignty for yourself. That's the really big thing here. Financial sovereignty is you having control over your money, not your money having control over you. So just so you know, when you subscribe to this channel, every single piece of content that comes out, it will have some fun and entertaining flows to it. But the purpose is to help you accomplish financial sovereignty. Guys, that's all we have for you in this video. But make sure before you leave, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave comments down below on what your thoughts were of this video and more content you would love to see from us. I'll see you, though, in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good